So this is the recap for live stream 317, I believe. And we had some difficulties on Friday. We were at the charts for quite some time, and we did have unscheduled news. So the unscheduled news was pretty much the president was not happy with the digital service tax from Canada on US companies. And there was talk of suspending the current negotiations, something of that nature, between the United States and Canada. So that put a lot of volatility into the market. 317 put a fair bit of volatility in the market, about 145 EST. And from that volatility, we did see a move to the downside. So let's have a look. So we'll go over to the NQ chart. Let's delete this because it's no longer relevant. So over to NQ. This was pretty much when news came out. We can see it here on the horizontal profile on the market here. Had 2,190 contracts traded through. Had this move to the downside, and as we came into power hour, market turned around, rallied a fair bit to the upside from the lows. We're looking at over 155 points within an hour on a market that wasn't particularly volatile throughout the day, but just wasn't great. So I came into the market, and because of all the difficulties I had as the market continued higher to all-time highs, I decided that I would integrate a different system into my trading, which would be more similar to trend continuation, but it didn't quite work. I took the odd mean reversion trade here and there. Think through here, went to mean reversion, got stopped out, went mean reversion, target was hit. I think this was a continuation, long, got stopped out, long, stopped out, long, stopped out. Went short, closed for a loss there. Went short there. I imagine I went short there. I guess I took a part of the position off. Took the other part off there. Went short. Market continued higher. I'm not going to go through all the trades because I took quite a bit of trade. So through this area is where I had some of the difficulties. We started accumulating losses. So I had this bias that the market would continue to make new highs, similar to what was happening in the week. And we saw price coming to these highs over here. Did notice that prices were stalling. Now, what I was trying to do is I was trying to limit the losses by having very tight stops. And as you can see here, was chopped a fair bit, looking for that breakout of these highs in continuation to the upside. Just didn't happen. So prices came down. You can see, finally went short, took it off there out of frustration, went long, took it off for a loss, went short. Prices turned around, took that off for a loss. Went short again, and it seems I took profits there. Now, this long through here, this was mean reversion. So we had the news come out between the United States and Canada. I wasn't, of course, aware of it at the time, but the volume certainly was a tell. We can see the volume here to the downside on the horizontal profile. At this time of day, it's likely a tell. We're seeing volume not seen since in and around the market open. So we're looking at volume that's actually higher than the volume at the market open. So it's unusual volume for a strange time of day. So this certainly was a bit of a tell. But I decided to take the mean reversion. Decided to switch from the trend continuation because of the difficulties I had through here. Decided to go with mean reversion. Went long across multiple instruments. I believe I was long over on ES as well. Long. Let's see. Long, took it off. Long again, took it off. Long, took that off. Finally went short. And I believe I took some profits there. And those were pretty much the trades. I decided to quit trading at that point because I did severe damage to my account. I didn't like the way I was trading. Over on ES, it's pretty much the same scenario. Had the news come out about 145 EST. Went long. Took a really big loss there on ES. Similar story with the longs. This trade here didn't actually even head down towards target. This was actually a small loss before the market continued a bit lower before reversing. Looking at reverse of 42 points, so quite a bit of reversing there. Similar trades taken over on ES to what we took on NQ. Over on gold, there weren't as many trades over on gold. Seems went long, took it off for a loss, went long again, took that off for a loss, went long. And the target was hit down there. Had to wait a long time. Got a long setup, took that off for a loss, long setup again. Market turned around here. I believe I was using a pretty tight stop loss and suffered a loss through there. And due to the gaps that we're seeing here in terms of the volume, wasn't particularly interested in gold at that point, but we did take a good mean reversion short here that did set up after this move to the upside, and we got out. There was a good mean reversion short. Had to wait quite a bit. Felt like a long time. Probably wasn't. About 30 minutes for the target to eventually be hit, but I was done with gold at that point. So those were pretty much the futures. Those were trades I took. Didn't adapt to the volatility. Decided to switch back between trend, momentum, and mean reversion. Definitely not the sort of thing to do. I also have to think about what am I going to do in the future, because it's not good enough to simply acknowledge mistakes. We also have to think about what will we do to counter these mistakes in the future. So what I'm going to do, let's see, we're looking at a 30-second chart here. What is the volume? 6,000 contracts. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just put an alert out there. So we'll go to the volume greater than 6,500. 30-second chart on bar close. And we'll go with an open-ended alert. Yeah, it's already open-ended. So volume greater than 6,500, same as chart, 30 seconds. And what do we want the alert to say? Where is that dialog box? Message. High volume. High volume. I guess I got caps lock on. High volume on schedule news. So that's what we'll print. Notify in app, send email, play sound. We'll go with that. And we'll go over to NQ. Just in case the issue is not across the board. And we'll do the same over here. Volume over 2K. What we're going to do is we're going to add an alert because we don't want to make the same mistake more than once. Volume greater than, let's do 2000. 2000 contracts on bar close. Keep it open-ended. Message. I should say volume. So hopefully I'll have my alerts on and this will grab my attention. So that's what I'm going to do in regards to on-schedule news and volume. So we'll fix the issue there. The second issue discovered was overtrading. Now, I'm going to have to change the way I trade a little bit because what I was trying to do is I was trying to reduce the size of losers. And while the loser was small, the frequency of losers was so high that they accumulated very big losses in the end. So that was not great. So certainly we'll be thinking about making changes there to the mean reversion. Or if I adapt the trend version of the strategy, I wouldn't have to worry about it as much. But the mean reversion, due to the fact that I don't want to be caught in a continuation, I'll have to look at my entries and make the adjustments there. May even need to trade ES a bit more. Overall, we could have a look down at the account. And on the account history, we are looking at, these are pretty much the account history. We can see the most recent successful trade was DNQ. We had a pretty big win. Overall, as you can see, it's just a series of medium to small losses, just very consistent across the board. We're looking at 33, well, that's a higher loss, but 13, 10, 13, 14, so on. Very small break even there. 17. Was just accumulating a lot of losses. Had a big win through here. And while I had big wins, it was a case of the accuracy was well off with these series of smaller losses. There's a very big loss right there over on ES. Yes, we did mention that big loss over on ES. These were just stock trades. We're not going to go through them. You can see medium-sized gains. I'm not going to go through everything, but you can see trading for several hours, and it's just a case of accumulation of small losses that ultimately proved far too costly for me. Didn't adapt to the market with the high volume shifting the market. Because certainly after being beaten by the bulls, I certainly weren't confident about taking a short, and the lack of adaptability certainly was costly. So what I'll do now is I'll have a look at the trade statistics. And over in the trade statistics, we're going to see the low accuracy ultimately being one of the factors in the poor overall performance. So just making the adjustments here. Making the adjustments. There we go. So let's have a look at the trade performance. Oh my gosh, it's done the same thing again. Jeez Louise. Technical issues We all love them. We all love a technical issue. Let's make sure we get this right. Of course it goes over to the wrong window, because why not? So let's have a look at our trade performance. So this is pretty much our trade performance here. And we can see made far too many trades. 54 trades, far too many trades right there. Overall, across the board, we lost 336,929. I knew it was a big loss, didn't think it was this big, but that's a huge loss. A serious dent to the account. 18 wins, 36 losses, 33%. Average win being 2210. Average loss being 19,680. So the average win was bigger than the average loss. That's certainly positive, but the accuracy did not help at all. Over on NQ, the majority of the losses lost 260, 750 over there. 7 win, 23 losses for 23% accuracy. Very poor. Average win 31,142, bigger than average loss of 28,115. But the accuracy certainly couldn't overcome the positive average win to average loss. Trades over on ES, lost 98,125, 40% accuracy. Inverse here, small average win compared to loss with poor accuracy. That's just a sustainable metric. Over on gold, were we actually positive on gold? We were actually positive on gold. We can see we lost on NQ, lost on ES. We were actually positive on gold. That's interesting. We've only 33% accuracy. So with 33% accuracy, the average win being 54. Okay. And the average loss being 14,625. So I guess gold was the instrument. It's been the instrument for a couple of days now. Certainly had some positive results over there. And of course, just briefly, the stock trades only took 2 trades on AMD. Had 100% accuracy, 2 winners. Average win being 215. I did take profits close to target. Similar story over on... I didn't actually. Over on Palantir, 1 trade, 920, 100% accuracy. So the stock trading has turned around a little bit, but we need to get on top of the ES and NQ. We need to get on top of this. This is the area I'm going to have to be working on for the coming week. How am I going to reduce the size of losers, but at the same time not have a terrible win percentage? Because it's positive to have smaller losers, but the win percentage needs to be higher, because it will offset itself, because you'll have the reduced accuracy, you'll have smaller losers. Ideally, of course, you're not going to have supreme accuracy and great average wins, but certainly want to have the metrics more favorable, better accuracy, pretty close to better than 1-to-1, certainly. But we'll see what the market brings. I'll make the adjustments next week and look to hopefully have a positive week. But with that said, thanks for watching. It's a bit longer video than usual, but I did take quite a bit more trades than usual as well. So with that said, thanks for watching. Good luck trading. Have a great day.